So by now, you've heard me go on and on about how lackluster the final season was. I don't know what possessed the creators of Game of Thrones to decide 6 episodes were enough to wrap up every story arc. The majority of the characters' conclusions were paced horribly, but an alarming amount of mysteries set up in previous seasons were left unaddressed. Qithe being the most obvious one. She appears in the 2nd season and is clearly an ally of Daenerys. What I don't understand is why the writers would introduce a character this skilled in magic without giving her a purpose or reasoning behind her motives. You would think someone important would be hiding behind that mask, but they never mention her again after her 2 appearances in the 2nd season, while Dany was in Qithe. There was a perfect chance to bring her back into the story when Jorah contracted Grayscale. She told him once before that she applies protection magic to sailors who dare traverse the waters where the Doom of Valyria occurred. This is the exact body of water that Jorah was attacked. She should have went to her to save him, or at least guide him to someone who can, so her story could have wrapped up. A conversation with her years later, where she reveals her intentions and identity, would have been nice. Instead of Sam Tarly just cutting off the infected area that was supposed to be uncurable for adults. She does return in the books later to magically speak with Daenerys, but she's just as mysterious as she was in Qithe. The list of unanswered questions only gets worse. Mira Reed's exit from the story left a real bad taste in my mouth.
I don't want to leave you, but when they come, I need to be with my family.
I was sure we would see her at least one more time at her family's home of Greywater Watch in the swamp region of the north called the Neck. Howland Reed is her father and a very important character in the Stark's backstory. After Ned died, Howland Reed may have been the only one to know about Jon's true parentage. Oh, and the Three-Eyed Raven, but it's not like he was going to tell anyone. Howland was the man who sent Jojen and Mira to be a part of Bran's quest. One scene with him would have been all we needed.
When I told my father about your father, the first time in my life I saw him cry.
I don't think we even get confirmation of whether or not he's still alive. A terrible disservice to what should have been a very interesting character. If creating a new set for Greywater Watch was not in the budget, Howland could have appeared in the Gathering of Lords in the series finale, when they came together to vote for a new king. Could have made for some great dialogue between him, Bran, and Jon Snow. One of the show's very first mysteries is the strange symbols White Walkers create with their victims' corpses. It's never really addressed what it means or why they do it, but in the 6th season, we find out these symbols were also made by the children of the forest. Instead, they weren't deranged enough to make it with limbs. A bunch of rocks worked just fine. Since the show wasn't going to spell it out for us, David Hill, one of the show's writers, came out and said, "As we saw with Bran and the Three-Eyed Raven, the spiral pattern was sacred to the children of the forest, who created the Night King by sacrificing a captured man in a spiral hinge of stones. The Night King then adopted the symbol as a sort of blasphemy, like Satan with the upside-down cross." There's quite a few more questions I have about the Night King and his White Walkers. Like, what happens to those blue-eyed babies after they turn? Do they have to wait 18 years to be full-grown White Walkers? Or do they have some kind of speed growth? Or why would the Night King wait thousands of years to make his move? All these questions will probably be answered in the prequel that's still in development. The books left me with the impression that the White Walker army was waiting for a long night, where the world would be covered in darkness for years. It stated they only attack at night, so maybe the sun negatively affects them. But the sun doesn't stop them in Game of Thrones, so who knows what they were waiting for. The next question that I, and I'm sure many others have, is what was Jaqen H'ghar doing in Westeros? More specifically, King's Landing. He must have been in the capital to kill someone, but who, and how was he captured? To hire one of the Faceless Men, one would need to be wealthy, and extremely wealthy if the target was someone with power. They are the best at what they do, and charge like it. The list of possible victims is just too large considering King's Landing is the biggest city in all of Westeros, with many of the continent's most powerful people crammed into one castle. What's surprising is, someone was actually able to apprehend Jaqen. We're given so little context that making any theories would just be a waste of time. With someone of his skill, it's possible he even got himself captured on purpose to get close to someone else. He's on a very different mission in the books, since he's trying to get something from the Citadel in Old Town, so we can't really use that for context. The show creators decided his dynamic with Arya made for better television, so made Jaqen her trainer. Since the entirety of the actual Game of Thrones played out in a single episode, super minor characters like the Dothraki horde didn't get a conclusion. Westeros could very well be their new home. Their culture revolves around horses, so they have no knowledge of sailing. Before following Daenerys, they believed the seas to be poisoned since their horses wouldn't drink the salt water. Their nomadic and primitive lifestyle, full of raiding, will make it difficult for them to blend in with the rest of the Seven Kingdoms. The Reach is a most similar kingdom to their former home of the Grasslands back at Essos. Both are full of fields and vegetation and enough water to go around, but the wealthy lords of the Reach won't tolerate their raids. The Dothraki's numbers have been drastically cut short after the battle at Winterfell, so they aren't as big as a threat as they once were. Bronn is the new lord of Highgarden in the Reach, so maybe he'll take them in as his own army, or possibly kill them all. Once again, we'll never know. One thing is for sure though, after Daenerys' death, it won't be long for them to have a new call lead them. The Dothraki move on fast. The last thing I want to talk about was a really out of place scene at the end of the controversial 5th episode of the final season, where Daenerys loses her shit. After Arya escapes the destruction of King's Landing, she finds an unharmed white horse and rides off on its back. I'm sure there's some kind of symbolism going on here, but this scene just goes on for way too long without it ever really having any relevance to the story. And if it does, it's only for the show creators to know. Its eyes didn't appear to be white, so I don't think Bran is in that horse's head. Not sure why they decided to leave us with this scene at the end of the episode. We don't see that horse again in the next episode, which happens to be the series finale. We do get some more questions though, but these mysteries were handled a little better in my opinion. I like that we weren't told what Arya will find sailing west. In some cases, leaving things for fan interpretation works. Her voyage is supposed to be one of wonder and unpredictability. The same goes for where Drogon decided to take Dany's corpse. He likely flew east to the ruins of Valyria, where the climate would suit him and where the Targaryens and dragons originate from. It's cool knowing somewhere out there in this world is a lone dragon, or possibly more. The whole burning of the Iron Throne thing was recently explained to the finale script being leaked. Drogon melting the Iron Throne was described as an attack on an innocent bystander while displaying his rage. A kind of disappointing explanation if you ask me. I prefer just speculating that Drogon was intelligent to see what the piece of metal did to his mother. But the script made him seem like a dumb animal. Just one more disappointment to add to the many others of the final season. I'll be looking forward to see all the unanswered questions you guys had throughout the many years of Game of Thrones' run, because there are a lot with this many characters and side plots. I think Syrio Forel's fate is pretty clear, so I didn't bother to talk about it. Hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I'll see y'all soon. Thanks for watching.